That's right. Me too. So listen, we are live right now. What is up, everybody? Welcome to another Facebook Live edition of Pendergast Podcast. Today, what an honor it is to have these two special people on the podcast. Before we get into them real quick, everybody, as always, that watches and comments will be entered into a drawing for 2 free Pendergast podcast stickers and this Ricardo Rossi signed poster from, the Moto3
Oh,
guys.
nice.
So, yeah. So anyway, listen, what is up, Aliki and Cat? How you guys doing?
We're at least for me, I'm right in the middle of season. I'm just about to head out on another trip. This is probably also the middle of Aliki's busy season as well. We are frantically, doing the job, making a little bit of money, not much, but enough to pay the bills. And, this is what we do. Living the dream, making money, doing what we love.
That's what we all do, right? Yeah, for sure. That's what we all do. So listen, let's just start this off and get into it, right? So I have both you guys on here at the same time. Let's start off how you two first met, and then we'll get into each individual business on your side, right? So how did Cat and Aliki meet together, right? And how did this friendship start?
Lord.
That's what I want to know.
Jesus.
It had to be a Thunder Hill
Cat,
at some point. I'm guessing, this is totally a guess, that it had to be at Thunder Hill at a track day, and I saw the product, the VnM product. I'm like, this stuff's pretty cool. And I had a hole in my world in that when you go to a MotoGP circuit, a lot of times there isn't stuff you can buy to bring home and go, look, I've been to Aragon. Look, I've been to Catalunya. Magello's pretty good about it, but still, there isn't like this really cool thing that you can bring home and go like, look, I've ridden Phillip Island. And so I saw these shirts. I'm like, this is something that somebody could bring with them home and then wear at their next track day and go like, look where I've been. It was like bragging rights. And the product was a good fit. The brand was a good fit, and Aliki's about 2 or 3 years ahead of me in terms of business development, in terms of like figuring out what she wanted to do and where she wanted to go and who she was going to work with. And I'm like, this is a good person to go with because she's already, hit walls and can tell me to avoid certain places. Like I already screwed up and tried to do a whole bunch of marketing at the IMS shows, and that was a huge mistake. And then, Aliki knew that you got to go where the fish are, and the fish are your track riders. And if you want to sell direct to track riders, you got to go to the track. And oh no, we have to go to a racetrack.
Are you kidding me right now?
I know.
Oh, man, what a bummer! Really? Out of anything in the world, I got to go to the track. Okay, I guess I can make that happen. Yeah,
it's my favorite place to go anywhere in the world. It's a racetrack.
Yep, absolutely. So Aliki, how did you
remember?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I remember you calling me and saying we need to have a meeting, and I'm all shit. I gotta have a meeting with somebody now. What's this all about? We got together for dinner, and you explained what you did and stuff. It was like a full-on official. I think I just tend to gravitate.
Oh my God, it was in Santa Cruz, wasn't it?
You came to Santa Cruz, and
it was in Santa Cruz, and I freaked the shit out of you. I remember that.
Yeah, I was a newbie. So I came from Canada, and I sold everything, got myself in a trailer, traveled around the country, did track days everywhere, and somehow ended in Santa Cruz. And then shortly after is when you came over, and I'm like, I'm making friends. I have a friend. Woo, this is cool. But kind of discovered that there's like a million track days around here too. So kind of never left and kind of started doing track days every weekend. So I know that we made friends at the track for sure.
Right.
Chances are we were all in vendor row.
Yeah.
And then we started having things in common, like we wanted to do Moto Americas together. We did the World Superbikes together. We did. I don't know if we ended up doing a MotoGP before World Superbike came to Laguna Seca, but I think it was, a friendship based on, hey, we got a lot of stuff in common. We should collaborate and help grow our businesses, which is eventually going to then help grow our sport. And we've kind of been running that theme for the last 8 years now, hasn't it been?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
our markets are very similar. There are people who will pay a little bit more for a quality experience or a quality product, but she's selling a much lower price item compared to what I'm doing. But it's the same target. People who love track riding. You know, it's pretty much it.
Yeah,
Passion driven, baby.
passion driven. That's right, and that's why we're all
Yeah.
here right now at this
Yeah.
moment, meeting and
Doing the
talking and having
thing.
this conversation. Exactly. So listen, Cat. I'm gonna start
Mhm.
with you. How did you decide to do your business? Right. So tell everybody that don't know about you or your business wise. How did you get into motorcycles to begin with, and how did this business start for you?
Well, I grew up on a ranch in Southern California, and I got some new neighbors next door when I was about 11 years old, and it was Gunnar Lindstrom, who was a motocross star back in the 70s and worked for American Honda. And I had, you know, horses. And then I'm looking over and here's these dudes on bikes. And I'm like, this looks like more fun, you know, and you don't have to clean up after them.
Right.
And there was more speed involved. And I'm
Well.
like, okay. So they taught me how to ride. It was Gunnar and his four children, and his children were always faster than me. I just had that natural talent, but it didn't matter because those are the best days of my childhood. Was riding little dirt bikes, especially in the rain. And then when it got too muddy for the bikes, we'd get off the bikes and get on ATCs and spray each other with mud. And I'd pay $5,000 right now to have another childhood day like that. It was the best fun ever. You know, I went to school. I got 4 college degrees, and of course, by the age of 40, when you have
Congrats.
4 college degrees with honors and distinction, that means you're completely unemployable. So especially
You
when you're
cost too
white.
much money.
No, well, the other problem is I'm white and I'm male, and I literally, it was great. One of the PR companies who was repping Kawasaki at the time said, "Geez, Kat, we'd really like to hire you. You're obviously got industry knowledge. You're really good at copywriting, and you know the marketing game, but we're going to hire 2 coupons instead." I'm like, okay, at least you're honest about it.
Right.
You know, it was
Right.
that was just kind of the
Cat, your
thing.
hair is pretty. We like your hair. It's very pretty.
Yeah, but I don't have any.
Keep it.
There's just not enough boobage here.
Yeah, it's not. I don't.
I don't
Yeah,
know. Did you look at the main
Congratulations,
picture that we have on the
contact.
podcast here? That was a full handful that I had.
it
All
was.
right. I
I
was like
liked
a
it. Yeah,
double
he was
handful.
like,
So
yeah, it was great.
I
Great.
don't
So
know, bigger than mine.
after looking for work for 3 years and being told twice during phone interviews, "Oh, we aren't hiring men." I'm like, okay, no one's gonna be give me a seat at the table. I'm gonna have to build my own table. So I went with what I knew. I knew travel. I'd worked in the travel industry and I knew the motorcycle industry. I'm like, okay, and I jumped into running motorcycle tours, which is a failed endeavor for many people. A lot of people lose money right out of the gate, and a number of people told me, "Don't do it. You're just going to lose your shirt." And I didn't make money at it at all for quite a while. I went over to Germany to try to sell California tours, to get Germans to come to California, only to discover that Germans will not buy from an American. They want to buy from a German. I understand this. It's a different culture, and they're more concerned with safety and trust. But while I was there, one of my friends said, "Hey, you want to go to a track day?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course."
Of course.
But what am I going to do for a bike? He says, kein Problem. We'll give you a Ducati from the Ducati shop. I'm like, what? Yeah, so they gave me a new Panigale to break in at a tiny racetrack called Wolfsdön in eastern Germany. There's a bunch of Germans there. Their English is better than my German, but we're trying to converse, but it doesn't matter. We're having a good time, and this is authentic. There's no tourists here, and after working in the travel industry and prepackaged experiences, I'm big on authenticity. So I'm like, okay, how do we get Americans to come over and experience a track day in Europe? This is tricky. Well, it has to be a racetrack they'd heard of. Well, okay, let's go to the MotoGP calendar. We'll take them to Sachsenring. Okay, but we can't just fly them over and do 2 days of track time and then fly them back. We got to take the bike someplace else. Where should we go? My friend said, "We always go to Dolomites," which is the Italian Alps. And that was the first tour, the Sachsenring in the Italian Alps. And the response within 6 months was so insane that people said, I can ride a MotoGP circuit? I'm like, yeah. Okay, here's my money. And the response was so good. I told people at that first tour, I said, even if somebody dies on this tour, we're doing it again. Because people clearly want to experience a racetrack that they've only seen on TV, ride where your heroes ride type of thing. The tour was a disaster. I think we totaled 3 bikes. We looked like complete chodes, and we showed up at Sachsenring with bikes just toasted. And we learned a lot of hard lessons on that tour, you know, the bad way. Bad hotels. We learned there that you got to have street bikes, dedicated street bikes, and track bikes. You know, 2 separate things. And we learned about reliability and routing and guides, and yeah. But we kept doing it. And next tours after that, you know, definitely got a hell of a lot better. And now I've been doing it for, well, shit, this is year 10 or 11, depending on how you count.
Congratulations, Cat, dude. Yes, congratulations, man. It was
yes, I am the slowest rider to ever ride 10 MotoGP circuits. And I'm going to do track number 11 this year. It's going to be Portimao.
I can't say that I'm not jealous because I'm sitting here just totally dripping with it. I don't know if you can see it on right now live on video, but man, it's just dripping. I'm telling you, man, you don't even know. I would give a lot, I'll say, to go ride.
It's no problem. I'll take it.
I know. I know you will. I know you will. And listen, we'll talk after the podcast for sure. Aliki, you are on deck next. So yeah. So tell us about. I know you do road racing too, right? A lot on the West Coast. Tell us how you started your undersuits and all that. The VnM. How did that all come together? And how did Aliki get involved in motorcycles?
Many, many moons ago. How did I get involved in motorcycles? Oh God. Okay. 18 years old, came home with a Ninja 250. And my mom was like, oh, hell no. So I had to turn my motor off, walk my bike into my garage. And as long as she never saw me sitting on that bike or hear the motor running, I was okay.
I'll push it down the street before I start it, Mama.
Yeah, no, I had to do that. My neighbors were very happy about that too, because it was a very loud exhaust on that little thing. But I had joined the military as a MSC op, which is a mobile support equipment operator. And so everybody that I was with in my unit loved wheels and doing fun stuff on wheels. So we used to off-road and everything all the time. And I think a couple in my group decided they wanted to get their motorcycle license, and I kind of was on board with that. So through my military career, I had kind of a motorcycle career that went along with it as well. And 2 years later, I became a motorcycle instructor, an MSF, Canadian version examiner. Then I got to a point where I was examining examiners, which is super fun. Then I was a demo rider for the examiners that were examining examiners. And that was fun, especially on a DRZ 400 when you're like, oh, I'm supposed to fail tests from the DMV. Okay.
It's gonna be
so I would
fun.
hop up curbs and down curbs and put my foot out around the turn. It was great. I was getting paid for that. That was a fun job. Anyway, so my motorcycle career kind of became a thing. So I was contracted with Honda Canada. Then I eventually got contract work with American Honda doing demo rides, and basically riding 2 wheels, getting paid for it. It was awesome. And then within that time of me being super enthusiastic and making money from motorcycling, it was about 2004, dating myself here, I discovered Under Armour at the racetrack. And I had put on these leggings. They had just come out at that time. And I was able to actually pull my leathers up over my legs. And I was like, this is the most miraculous shit I've ever known, ever.
Facts, right?
There was almost nothing in motorcycling that was specific to motorcycling. So I've been doing this for a while. And it's taken many years for me to come out with a product that is what it is today, with testing it through. We went through like 23 prototypes. I wanted something that would fill the gap in the market that was there. At the time, people didn't really even know that you would wear something that was long sleeves in order to keep cool. So it was difficult for me because I had to educate people about it. It wasn't like,
Right.
oh, I need a base layer. Where should I go? Here's the 5 companies I can choose from.
Right.
It was, what's a base layer and what does it do and why can't I wear a t-shirt? So there were a lot of challenges along the way, but I kind of stuck through it. And now I'm really happy that there's other businesses that are out there that are seeing that are starting as well, because the more known the concept is, the better it is for all of us in the market. So that's kind of where I started, I'd say, in my roundabout nutshell.
That's awesome. So as far as development goes, as the years, as you developed your undersuits and your products, did you have like racers actually test them on the track and give you feedback? And is there any particular riders you want to give a shout out to that actually helped you develop along the way? She's like, where do I start?
Yeah, I know. Oh God, I know. I'd say one of the most difficult questions that was asked of me, if anybody's looking to start a business in our industry, was, does this make me go faster? And I had to stop myself and be like, well, it's convenient, it's comfortable, it cools you off. Does it make you go faster? This guy owned a shop, Z1 Motorcycles, and a dear friend now, but he was an asshole to me and I loved it. He was there. He said it for real. He's like, if somebody's going to buy a product off you, it's because it's going to make them faster. You're going to spend $1,200 on an exhaust because, well, it might give you like what, 0.5 to 1 horsepower, but maybe it makes you faster. So you spend $1,200
psychologically anyway.
You faster.
Right.
So then I was in Canada at the time, and I was involved in the Canadian Nationals, Canadian Superbike Championship. And there was a gentleman there who was a doctor, who was kind of a 2XL size guy, and very well known, very fast. And I said, here's my prototype base layer. I'm like prototype 10 right now. Can you try this for me and let me know? Does this make me go faster? And he went out there, and this was at Shannonville. I don't know if a lot of people know that track. It's very tight, very technical. I'd say tighter than like Buttonwillow, and very bumpy. But the transitions are really cool. There's a lot of tight transitions. And he had noticed that he dropped, and I'm not exaggerating here, he told me he dropped 2 seconds off his lap times at that track just from wearing the base layer. Yes. I can't remember what he had before. Maybe he was just wearing nothing underneath. And because he was able to transition faster, so the bike got pointed in the right direction faster, so he was able to go faster. And that, to me, was the proof in the pudding. Let's go. We're going to do this. I want to keep going with this concept. So that was it. The start.
His suit was binding up, probably in the chest area, and it was made smoother because of the underlayer. Yeah, for me, I would say that it's going to make you faster because your body temperature in the heat, when you get hot, when you overheat, you lose concentration.
Yeah, fast.
Right. Your body can use up to 90% of your body's energy on heat. Sorry, I got distracted because my husband just went over there with his pretty face. And I got
hi, husband. Hi, husband.
He was like, oh.
Whoa, sorry.
So thermoregulation essentially. So if you keep cool, then you're able to actually like continue your day for a longer period of time. Right. But also with him particularly, it was because he was able to slide around in his leathers more, and without the binding in your arms too. So a lot of people would get what they call, the term is arm pump. Right. But it's actually, there's a lot of different medical terms for the different things that are happening. But one of the main ones that I've noticed is that people were just having binding in their leathers, which was creating an issue with the circulation in their arms. So putting on a base layer, especially ours, because it's an extremely slippery fabric, you can slide around within your suit a lot easier. And that's what allows you to, have more energy throughout the day, reduce muscle fatigue, keep cool so you're not expending energy that way, and not dehydrate because you're not sweating a lot.
Right. Yeah, I tested the product when I did that Veterans Charity Ride and had to ride across the Mojave Desert, and they were handing out cooling vests to all the guys, and I was wearing my VnM layer, and the cooling vest, after 20 minutes, the cooling vest turns into a hot, wet blanket, whereas I just took it off because my VnM layer was keeping me cooler than these supposed cooling vests.
Yeah, that's I find that the problem with a lot of these cooling vests, wristbands, headband, whatever it is, man. Yeah, it's fine for the first 20, 30 minutes, but once it starts to dry out, it has the opposite effect, right? It makes you
Yeah,
hotter.
I'm wearing a hot
You
blanket.
exactly, I'm like, what am I doing, right? So you just take it off, throw it away, and figure out something different. But yeah, listen, you two coming together, it's I know you guys ridden on the track together before, correct?
I have.
Oh yeah, we have had some battles. Some
I wouldn't call it battles
stuffing each other in
because
corners. Yeah.
yeah, what we do is I because my big ass, I have to. I don't need a leader bike, but because I'm so large, I have to haul my butt around. So a larger bike, I have to pay for a larger bike, and so Aliki is always on like a smaller Kawasaki, Ninja or something, and I'm on this big leader bike. So me and I'll be just doing third down the straightaway, and I'll just sort of wait for her to pass by. Well, we do what I call hare and hound. I'll to help her practice for racing. I'll go out and I'll go with her, and I'll get in front of her, and I'm like, okay, practice your pass on turn 4 because we were doing like at Thunder Hill. It's a tricky pass to get, and she was getting good on her line for passing in turn 4, and then I could easily go around her, on the straightaways with my R1, and then next lap. Okay, show me that pass again. She died. And I can recognize a leaky, 10 bike legs ahead because she's got frog legs stick out. It's the butt and the way her riding style and her body position. I always see these like thighs like sticking out. Like, yep, there's a leaky. Doesn't matter what bike she's riding. I can spot her anywhere.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, good to know, right? Yeah. So listen, Aliki, what is your favorite racetrack you've ever been on?
Good question. Damn.
Oh, I can't wait. This one.
Okay. I have been around the country. I've been on Coda. I've been to Laguna Seca, Thunder Hill, some of the main ones, Jennings, GP. But honestly, my favorite racetrack ever is what they used to call Mosport, which is the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park now. And it's the second fastest track in North America. And I'm shocked that a lot of people don't know about it in the US. God damn it, that track is insane. I mean, okay, just visualize this. All right. So you get on this straightaway. I used to race the 600, so I think I was an R6 at the time, like we're talking an carbureted 98 R6
99
in 2007.
Right.
But like pinned to the tips all the way up the straightaway, which is basically has these kind of like up and down situation. And then when you get to the end of the straightaway, normally one would hard brake and turn, you tuck underneath the windshield, you downshift twice, and you just pray to God that you're going to survive and hang off that bike while not being a sail. And by the time you get to the apex, it comes down a hill and it comes up like this. And by the time you get to the apex, you're in mid-4th gear.
Wow.
The most gnarly straightaway. You have to have some cojones in order to get it done right. And there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it because, I mean, I don't know what it is in miles an hour, but I remember looking down at my speedometer, which isn't usually accurate anyways when you're racing, but I was looking at 275 kilometers an hour, pinned, going over this crest, going downshift twice, go, like just no brakes.
Awesome.
Everybody needs to ride that track.
What a mega feeling, right? So along with that question, hang on, Cal, I'm gonna ask you the same question. But along with that, who's your favorite Canadian superbike rider? Jordan Zote, Miguel Duhamel, Steve Crevier.
Steve Crevier! Oh my God, that asshole. He's such a little dick. I love him. He's there's the guy. There's always one. He comes into the racetrack and he's like, he'll rub you the wrong way at first, and you're like, who the hell is that? And then you fall in love with him because he's just like, he's there, he's authentic. Yep. He's kind of like Cat, I guess, in a specific way, where you're like, wait, I love you. When you get to know him. But I remember he sold a pair of leathers. I'm outing him to someone at the racetrack. And I remember later he came up to me and he told me, I took a piss in those.
What a story. That's awesome.
That guy does not give a shit. Like, excuse my language, man. He does
No, you
not
good.
care,
You
and
can
I love
cuss.
that
Yeah,
about
absolutely.
him.
You can cuss.
So
Yeah.
he'll be
Be
on the
yourself.
grid, and if he's like, man, if you gotta go, you gotta go, and he'll just pee in his
Facts.
leathers and keep going.
I mean, I've done it in my own leathers before. I mean, yeah, you got to go. You got to go. Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
another way to keep cool. I'll tell you that.
Especially if you have the venom on. Now you're even extra cool, right?
This was way before
Yeah.
my Venom days.
Oh,
This was
okay.
a long time ago. But yeah, no, I would have to probably him. Yeah,
That's
that
awesome.
guy. He was
All,
always entertaining.
Yes, yeah, I remember Steve
Yeah.
Crevier.
Yeah.
What a person, right? I've met him several times. I actually got a
Oh,
signed
yeah.
poster up on my wall by him. Yeah, I've been watching road racing for a long time. I watched Valentino come up, Eddie Lawson, Freddie Spencer. I've been watching racing and a fan for a long time. AMA, DMG, Moto America, the whole nine. So yeah, Cat, listen, same question to you, bro. What is your favorite racetrack, not just in America, but your favorite track in the whole wide world that you get on? You're just like, this is absolutely fucking heaven. This is it.
It's a tough one because obviously I've been to some really good racetracks, but I this is a common answer because people ask me this one a lot, and mine is Phillip Island, because it's a racer's track. There's more than one fast way around it. And this is why racers love it. This is not a track that's good for qualifiers, who then just take off with the race. Since there's more than one fast way through a turn, it's possible for you to like race and challenge with your buddies and whatnot. And I love the Southern Loop. That's my favorite turn. It's right there, right next to the ocean. Beautiful view. And I always double apex that turn and then getting on through the second apex and just throttling out of it. To me, that's the best one. I love the Southern Loop at Phillip Island. Its facilities aren't as good as say like Mugello or Catalunya, but the circuit's really grippy. And hey, it's got the best local town, the town of Cows next to it. It's a resort town. It's a beach resort town with a MotoGP track right next to it.
Right. Yeah. So I got friends that live out there, and they tell me, they say, man, if you don't come to Phillip Island for MotoGP rate, just solely for the fact that people watching it, it's kind of shitty for spectators watching it, and their restrooms and all that are like almost non-existent.
Yeah, it's low on facilities.
It's horrible. Yeah. They say it's horrible. So okay, as far as that goes, riding Stoner's Corner, what's that like?
You got to have some balls to pour it on Stoner's Corner because you can't quite see through where you're going. So you got to get on the gas, and then you've got a heavy braking zone coming up for Honda Curve, right, which a lot of guys screw up. And also, you don't have any heat in the tires on that side, so you do have to brake heavy for that turn. So it takes cojones to get on the gas for Stoner's Curve. A lot of guys after the Southern Loop, they just kind of wait. They kind of like throttle. They just hold the throttle open and sort of wait for Honda Curve. Whereas the more aggressive rider will go, "This is Stoner's Corner." You got to get on it. And I've kind of learned to do that. I'm looking forward to going back and riding Stoner's Curve, while getting on the gas harder. But you got to brake hard for Honda Curve. It's coming at you.
I bet. Yeah, I bet it is. So, listen, out of all the racetracks in the world, Aliki, that you've been on, what is your favorite corner? That one corner when you show up, you're like, I'm a murder this corner. Okay, there you go. There it is. Yes. All right, Cat. Same thing with you. You've been,
same one.
Dude. Listen, you've been blessed, Cat, to be the privilege to ride all these race circuits in the world that us mortals would love to do, right? So, out of all the tracks you've been on, what is your favorite corner of all time? Out of any track you've ever been?
I just mentioned the Southern Loop, but let me think of another turn that's really fun. The corkscrew is a blast, and it's not as scary as people like, because you do it the first couple of times. It's kind of spooky, and then once you've done it, once you know your turn-in point, it's fun. It's a blast.
It's super banked if people haven't done it.
It is.
Once you get the right line, you are right in the banking of both. So it almost feels like like a roller coaster, and then going down Rainy right after it, your stomach kind of goes "Wah!" into your chest. Yeah,
That's
a good
I
one.
kind of like
Yeah.
Poggio Secco at Magello. It's just a standard 90 return, but it's right there, and it's what you do before and what you do after. Yeah. Yeah, and there's
Look,
some turns at Brno. I'm trying to think of turns at Brno that are fun. Brno is really, really wide.
Yeah,
It's
that's what I've heard.
It's a massive,
heard that.
wide circuit, so you can really haul ass on that track.
It's sad that MotoGP don't go back to Brno because that was one of my favorite tracks. Besides
You know
Magello,
what? You know, that's a political thing.
I
or
know
a
it
money
is.
thing.
Yeah,
It's not. People like to say it's a track surface thing. The track surface at Brno, you kind of have to watch your rear because your rear can overheat. The track surface will get hot. But it's not something that would disqualify it. It's a great circuit with good facilities. This is a MotoGP level quality circuit. So the reason MotoGP isn't happening there's something else going on. It's not the track.
Yeah, it's sad too because man, Bruno always brought really good racing, right? It's such a good flowing track. I love playing it on my PlayStation. I know that for sure, right?
Yeah,
It's
the elevation
it's awesome.
changes much more distinct when you actually get at the track. As you go, that's where you have your biggest problems. Is that last turn going uphill? You get on the gas going uphill, and that's where your rear end will get loose, and your rear end gets greasy and starts overheating. You'll kind of slip out. But anyway.
Yeah. So I remember when I went to Laguna Seca in 2005 when MotoGP first come back, and of course, growing up watching the corkscrew, you finally get there and you look up, you're like, holy shit, right? They're not joking. It's up there. It's the same thing as like turn one at Coda when I first went to Coda, and I was like, damn. I mean, it's literally straight up hard left, then right, then back down, and carry on through. It's amazing to actually see those guys approach those corners and break as deep and as hard as they do. I'm sitting there watching them on the fence, grabbing it like, holy shit, right? Like, I would. It's just like everybody asks me, hey, have you ever drug your elbow before? Yeah, absolutely. But right after that comes my shoulder and my hip and my leg, and oh, there goes my bike. Bye. Right. That comes along with it. But watching them guys, man, at that track do it is just it. Us us humans, I would just say, non-aliens, it blows my mind how deep and how aggressive they are on the brakes. And then as soon as they let off, they're immediately back on the gas. You see the pitch of the bike, and you're just like, wow, speechless, right? It's phenomenal. You guys
From the age of 7, all I ever wanted to be was an X-wing fighter pilot.
You?
Close
Yeah,
enough.
of course. When I was a little what? And so when you dive into a turn there at Laguna Seca, to me this is red 5. I'm going in.
That's good.
I love it.
That's good.
That's right. Like Top Gun. Goose. Yeah. That's awesome. I love it. So listen.
That one.
Yeah. Coming to that, let's just change it up real quick. So listen, your favorite movie, and in that favorite movie, what actor would play you?
This is brain work.
Man, that's a tough one because I watch a lot of films, and now you're saying it has to be a movie with somebody who's relatively like me, and that's
There's no one like Cat.
I was gonna say Cat. There's nobody like you. So like me, I would want whatever movie it is. I'd want Keanu Reeves to play me, right?
I want Chris Hemsworth.
There you go.
Yeah.
And what's the movie, Cat? Listen, it could be any movie. It could be any movie, Cat. Chris Hemsworth plays you, but what movie would he play you in? Star Wars.
I want Chris Hemsworth to play the story of my life. I want that to be a movie. A crazy, bizarre world of running motorcycle tours. We do some nutty stuff, and just watching people change and handling what we call cucumbers. On the tour, it's always crazy watching.
You're gonna have to tell them about the flying cucumber thing.
Yes,
flying cucumbers. Okay.
Yes.
This is. Wait a second. It's this side. It's this side. Okay. This shirt made by VnM for some strange reason has the emblem for the first Pickle Squadron. and everybody who is a tour guide for Layout Escapes is a member of the first Pickle Squadron. And this comes from my Italian partner, Enrico. And Enrico says, as soon as the tour starts, the air becomes filled with invisible flying cucumbers. And you never know when you as a tour guide are going to have to feel one go right up your ass. And an example of a cucumber is, Cat, I think I left my passport at the last hotel.
Oh shit. Oh
Which
shit.
is, the one we had 2 tours ago. Client, messages me, hey, Cat, I'm up at Paso Pordoy, and both our bikes stop. It won't start. Both your bikes. Both bikes. There's the important clue. I said, were your bikes smoking at all earlier today? Yeah, actually they were. You filled both your bikes with diesel fuel.
That
Which
may or
means we
may
have
not
to
have
Oh
happened
my
at one point in
God.
time in my life.
and take bikes down to Bolzano and have the diesel fuel drained out of the tanks and clean the injectors. And that's a cucumber. And our job as tour guides is to turn cucumbers into pickles. And,
Rob,
if you want to know somebody, travel with them.
Facts.
Think you know your neighbor, you don't know your neighbor.
Yeah,
Travel with somebody for 12 days and see them experiencing new cultures and dealing with new stuff and see the full range of their emotions. You'll find out who somebody is real quick.
I bet. Robert Lackey says Tosh says Christopher Lloyd as Cat.
I think he's getting up there in years, but yeah.
Yeah. Listen again.
Mad scientist is definitely what they refer to as my personality type.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Robert Lackey and Tosh and the whole Benson family. They're amazing.
Hi, Robert
people.
and Tasha.
Yes, same thing.
Yeah.
Listen, I got to give a shout out to Michael Carrera and his son Juju. Again, thanks for that hat. Everybody in South Florida, Mini GP, all them people are amazing. And you guys need to hit them up if you guys ever wanted to take your kid out there and get them started. So So listen, Aliki, who would play you and what movie would they be in?
I just know the motorcycles. Favorite movie? Probably The Fifth Element with Mila Jovovich, if I said her name right.
God,
Nice.
She's just so goddamn cute.
She is. She's awesome in that movie.
She can play me. I could be her in that movie. I love her. She's so cute.
Multipass.
She's awesome.
The
red fiery hair. And that.
Oh yeah. Oh hell.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a great movie too. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna say Tasha can guess for me. She can do the work for me.
All right, Robert, have Tasha. What character is Aliki gonna play? Who's gonna play Aliki in their movie? So, Kat, what's the craziest story you have as far as being on tour with guests? Right? Did somebody just go full blown psycho and red rum, right? Yeah.
What happens on tour, particularly Americans who are from, let's say, it doesn't happen from people from the coast. It'll happen from people who are more from the Midwest, who are just used to a general homogenized type of life. My Italian partner says, "Oh no, we have somebody from Texas." Texas is got some great people, but Texas, all the people are kind of the same. They're used to living in this world, and you suddenly throw them into the middle of Europe, and things are very different. The problems we have on tour are usually related to culture shock. I've seen, not on my tours, but I've seen people freak out so much they had to go home. Things were just too different. And this is Europe. Europe's not that hard to survive in, but it's just the world is so different. Not everyone speaks your language. They have different cultural customs. And so all the problems come from there. I mean, I had a guy in Chemnitz in East Germany, like he'd had a bad day. It was a tough logistical day to get up to Chemnitz from Munich. And he's trying to order grits in Eastern Germany. This is just not going to happen. I mean, the waitress doesn't even know. Waitresses don't They don't
From
do
Canada,
special
I didn't
orders.
even know what it was.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
in Europe, particularly in Germany, you don't ask the waiter or waitress to make alterations. That's just not a thing. It's considered insulting to the chef, and the last thing the waiter or waitress wants to do is insult the chef. So don't ask for substitutions or anything. But this guy wanted some grits, and so I finally convinced him to try some croquettes, which is basically deep fried mashed potatoes. He wanted some comfort food. I'm like, okay, here. I mean, so it's just, but the insane craziness that we have to deal with. We had one couple, poor woman. She was in so much culture shock. She came to my wife on like the third day of the tour and said, I've just sort of come to terms with the fact that I'm gonna die here. And we're like, oh honey, no, that's you're fine. Meanwhile, afterwards we're like
Facts, right? Yeah. Did you hear what this woman just said? Yeah.
yeah, this is Europe, it's so much safer than where you live at home, and yet you
Facts,
think you're
yeah.
gonna it's because she was just so scared, so freaked out that the world was just so different. Folks like this will go to McDonald's 3 times. They'll eat every meal at McDonald's. If they're not with you, if like after the tour, before the tour, these are the people who will only go to McDonald's to eat when they're in Italy.
I
Got
don't
to
even
give
go
them
to
props for
McDonald's in
doing
the
it, though.
United States. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't even eat that
I
shit
do
here.
give them credit for getting out of the country, and I think they went back. I think they went back and went to Italy again, and took a tour with my Italian partner. But it was just, the world was so different for them, and that's where you get the scaredness. And also you have other conflicts on tour where there are certain people that when they get insecure, if they can't be the captain of the ship, they'll sink it. They'll do whatever they can to sink it. And these are the people who behind your back are, it's like, oh, well, I can't believe they do it this way. If I were in charge, I'd do it this way. Oh my God, do you believe what they do? But they're never doing this in front of you. But my hearing's actually pretty good. I'm like, really? They can't relax and just let go. They have to be in charge of something. And if they can't be in charge, they're going to bag on whoever else is in charge. And I'm sure in our professional lives, we've run into people like this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, well, they're even worse on tour.
I guarantee, me and Aliki was talking. I'm getting ready to fly out Monday to London. I'm going to Louth is where I'm staying at for the British Superbike race at Caldwell Park. Because Dave Neal, I had Dave Neal on since then. Big shout out to Dave Neal and his podcast called Off Track. We become really good mates, and he made it happen. Of course, I'm paying for my own trip, but I got the access to the paddock and all that good stuff. It's been I can't wait. You don't even know. I'm such a huge fan of BSB. To me, the racetracks are a lot like American racetracks, right? They're narrow, they're not as wide, they're bumpy, they're not perfect. Okay. There's certain places you just don't want to crash.
Yeah, but you're going to Caldwell Park.
Right. I'm going to Caldwell. I'm going to the mountain. Yes.
That's
The
cool,
mega.
yeah.
Yes. So yes, bravo. Right. Yeah, it is. And it's man, what an honor, man. I can't wait to go see the mountain jump. I can't wait to and the bikes are awesome too, because their electronics ain't as sophisticated. So it's more down to the rider skill, not the PlayStation electronics on the motorcycle, right? And to me, that race organization and the way they do it is just brilliant. And I can't wait to go be a part of it. And I can't wait to. I got up and coming guests coming on while I'm over there. I don't want to give away, but Aliki knows. And yeah, it's gonna be. I can't wait. I'm full bore chuffed. I just want to eat crumpets and tea and all that good stuff. Yeah, I can't wait.
No, you're gonna be having chicken tikka masala.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I love chicken tikka masala. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's a national dish. It's like döner. Döner in Germany is the national dish. It's Turkish food. Well, in the UK, it's Indian food. Tikka masala.
I love Indian food. I do.
Yeah,
I do.
well,
And
you're gonna find that's some of the best Indian food in the world is in the UK.
Yeah.
they also said, "Go ahead."
I'm gonna be at the Manx TT while you're at Caldwell Park.
Man, how far is that away from where I'm gonna be at?
You're Caldwell Park. You'll be like 3 or 4 hours, but you got to get ferry tickets and cross the ferry. It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But I'm sort of researching the possibility for another tour in the UK, and would love to combine Wales, Isle of Man and Silverstone, doing track time on Silverstone. But I
Speaking
got to
of,
find.
I'd be down.
I would, yeah, me too. I listen, that's one of my favorite race. Probably my favorite race of the year is the TT. Ever since I first seen it when I was a little kid, I was glued, thinking to myself, "Holy shit,
Yeah,
these guys are ripping on the streets, and this is legal? Are you kidding me?" And yeah, since then I've been just such a huge fan. Those racers they just got something different in their brain versus normal road racers, right?
They have
Whatever it
no
is,
fear.
right? It don't, but a lot of times they don't. Well, back in the day, now they do, right? Davey Todd and all them, they're fast on the road courses too, as well. But back then, the road racers at the TT wasn't that fast on closed circuits, right? It's I guess again, it's just different, right? They feel maybe safer on the open roads, telegraph poles,
It's a different
houses,
type
and
of
all that.
riding.
It is. But man, have you ever ridden the TT?
No, this is my first time to the Isle of Man, and that's
Okay.
actually my ancestors are originally Olaf the Red had two sons, and his second son was Leod, Macleod. So I'm going back to some ancestry there, and I've never been, and I'm looking forward to it. We got a little Airbnb spot with a big old hot tub, kind of in the center of the island, so we'll be able to take different roads, different portions of the course to watch practice and the racing. I'm looking forward to it. I'm doing it with Liza from the Motorcycles and Misfits podcast to kind of scout out potential tours.
Well, good.
She's
Shout
awesome.
out to
I love
Liza. Yeah, and her
Yeah.
podcast. So listen, I got a buddy, Adam Bauer, that's actually going to be racing at the Mannix TT. So you got to make sure you stop by and say a big hello to Adam. He lives out here in America. So yeah, just go by and say hi to him, Kat. He would really appreciate it. For sure. It's awesome. Yeah. So Aliki, yeah. What? I got so much I want to ask. I'm just trying to pick out what question I actually want to ask you to begin with. So you grew up in Canada. How much different is the racetracks out there compared to the American tracks?
Okay. All right. Okay. Good question. That is a damn good question. So I'm from the East Coast in Canada, or not East Coast, more like Central Toronto area, where we have Shannonville, we have Moseport, we have Calbogie. And I grew up there, and that was my home. That was my family. Mostly in Shannonville, which was what I had mentioned before. Super tight technical track. Also, like reference points all over the place. Look, there's a grass patch right there. So make sure that your tire's on the left of the grass patch. And then that little hole right there, you want to miss that. And then you have to have your tire between like this area if you don't want to crash. So I learned reference points on track. And, that's what got me around the racetrack. And then when I decided to come into I have too many stories. So when I came out to the racetracks out here, probably the best example is Thunder Hill, because it is a fast track and the reference points weren't necessarily on the track. They were like the far tree out in the distance over there and the big water tower over there, if there were reference points at all. So I slowed down a lot when I came here because I was just used to having these sort of markers on the track to know where I was going. And when it was just this open free track with runoff, that you can actually run off and not kill yourself too, that was a different world. So the riding is very different. I'm comparing California specifically to the Toronto area, by the way, because I didn't do a lot of East Coast tracks in the US. But in California, people just send it a lot more.
Just send
when I
it,
came
right?
out here, I was like, holy shit, you guys are just sending that.
Wait till we get you to Australia.
And how and why,
Right.
and I couldn't like wrap my head around like what to me was a lot more dangerous. And the rules and that kind of stuff were different too. And over time, I started to realize, well, it's because you have these open tracks with a ton of runoff that you can take that risk. The track is wider, you can take that risk,
Right.
And so those risks were, and that's why. But here's an interesting thing: the difference between my experience with Canadian tracks and all of the U.S. tracks, or almost all of them. Straightaway, hard brake, turn right in Canada. Straightaway, hard brake, turn left in the U.S. And
So
I was pretty good at my racetracks. I was like, oh, look at me, I'm a big head and all that whole thing, until I came out here and I realized that I had to do a hard brake, high speed, hard brake, turn left. I just like, yeah, no.
lost in
I bumped
translation, you're like, holy
straight from
shit.
A group right down to C group, like
Oh, we'll get you
instantly.
to Aragon.
Oh yeah, my head was a little inflated when I came to the U.S. and it just shrank into
Deflated.
nothingness when I first came out. Oh yeah,
no.
and I had to
Yeah.
start learning things from scratch again, because again, out here, again, California specific, everybody is about Ken Hill, California Superbike School, Yamaha Champions Riding School, training, training, training. Take your courses. This is how you train. Whereas, way back when in Canada, we didn't have any courses. You just went out there and you just railed. So I had to retrain coming here. I had to slow back down and, start really putting into practice those things that I had learned to get back fast again. And so it's really interesting. Like, I used to be quick, and then I was like, and then it's taken me another 8 years to get back up to probably where I was before, and a little bit more, but with knowledge behind me and skill.
Right,
so there is,
right.
California is good for that. It's all about learning and learning and learning and technique.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
big shout out to my buddy Ray Hindy. He said, this is DU Cat. He says, I don't know who this dude is, but he's fucking awesome. But Pulp Fiction, that would be your movie, Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction.
Oh yeah. Like, in
sure.
all sorts of every part of that movie, actually.
That was the sexiest Uma Thurman ever looked. Was just
let's go. Yeah. I got
facts.
Just the slight rubbing of her nose. I said, God damn. Just like, okay, now I'm seeing him. I never thought she was sexy until that movie. I'm like, okay, now I'm seeing her.
You're like, have you ever had a Royale with cheese?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's only in France. Everywhere else it's called a quarter pounder. It's like it's more American.
Yeah.
So you'll get a quarter pounder with cheese in other parts of Europe.
That's awesome. So Robert Lackey said, okay, it took a second for her to think through this, but Tosh says Malia J is perfect for Aliki. Ha ha ha.
That's Mila Jovovich.
Mila Jovovich.
Yeah. I could never say her last name. I'd straight murder it for sure. 110% murder it. So yeah, so out there, Aliki, you said, so a lot of the Canadian racetracks are opposite from ours. They're more rights than they are. Ours is here is lefts, right?
So what is that? Yeah. Counterclockwise.
Not clockwise.
Nah. Something to do straight away left, straight away right.
Instead of straight away right, straight away
left. I'm like, now going through my head thinking about all the MotoGP circuits and which direction they go in.
Yeah, you're like, So listen, if you could partner with any rider in the world, what team would you partner with, and who would be your rider?
Oh, hey, that's a good one for VnM. But there's a thing. Is it a trophy sponsorship, something you would just love to do, versus one you think would be effective for your business?
I think let's just do both, right? Let's do both. It could be MotoGP, World Superbike, Canadian, ASBK, whatever, British Superbikes.
So to me, it's really important to be able to work with people that are just awesome people. So I built my business knowing that I wanted to bring the right people to me. Not everybody jives with everybody, but there's a certain kind of person, and we all like the three of us are gravitating towards each other as we speak. So when I talk partnerships, like when I make business decisions, a lot of it has to do with how good that person is to me in my mind, and how, so I do have a lot of product with MotoGP, Moto2, World Superbike riders, and I don't usually, I don't know if I'm veering off the topic slightly, but I don't usually approach them cold call, here's a contract, I'll pay you $5,000, will you wear my stuff? I really enjoy working with people. Okay, so 2021 Moto2 world champion Remy Gardner is a really good example. I am so pleased to have had him wear my product for the last, maybe I'm going to guess about 6 years now. And I love working with him because he's freaking awesome. Like, he's just this cool, down-to-earth dude that just, like, you kind of have this, oh my God, I can't believe I'm walking into your box at MotoGP right now, and he's like, oh, hey, what's up,
And you're like, he talked to me?
He likes the product. And I think a part of it too is that we're able to put his logo on his base layer. Whereas everything else he wears, his helmet and everything. And I say this as a blanket statement for all of the riders that I have on a professional level, on a world level. I think they're over the contract thing, you know?
Yeah.
So it's so nice for them to just be able to have like their logo on a base layer without all the requirements. If you have to wear it here, you have to wear it there and do all these other things. And the feedback that I get a lot of feedback from Remy Gardner, Marcel Schroeder, and Jonas Folger. Those are my three favorite I love working with. Jonas Folger this year is a KTM tester for MotoGP.
Yep.
We have Marcel Schroeder is now World Super Sport with MV Agusta, and he is dominating and doing really well. And all three of those guys have taken the time to come to me and give me feedback on the product to help me better the product. So those are the kinds of people I like to work with. One story, I was working with American Honda at COTA MotoGP a number of years ago, and I was able, Jonas Folger was, I'm terrible with pronouncing names.
It's okay, me too.
It was, I'm trying to remember. I think it was his first time at COTA. I think it was everybody's first time at COTA. And I didn't want to, kind of like a modest Canadian over here, you want to wear my stuff, but I don't want to bother you.
Notice, I got the stories of you in the paddock in COTA. You guys hollered it in there.
So I knew his data technician, and so we went over to him, and I gave him his custom gear with this cool logo on it, and I was like, okay, not wasting any more of your time. Go concentrate on learning that track and dominating. And so I went back over to where we were with the Honda demo rides, and this was the Saturday he got the product. So he didn't even try it on his practice. He tried it during his race for the first time. He just was like, oh, I'll just put this on and go race. Like, that's the cool thing about him, is he's just open to trying new things all the time. Such a nice guy. Went out of his way, got himself a little cart, found me during the day afterwards, and told me what he thought of the product. And was like, oh, you should put the logo here so people can see it better. And I really, maybe just make it a little wider here, and gave me a whole bunch of feedback. And he came to find me. I was beside myself. I didn't know what to do with myself. I was like, I'm just this little nobody with some base layers, and you're like this world level guy who really wanted to go out of your way to help. So those three people I had mentioned are my favorite riders because they always give me feedback. We've changed the product up a little bit for each one of them. They've tried different things, and they're on board every year, and I don't have to pay them. That's cool. Because they actually just really like my product. And that was one of my goals from the get-go. I wanted to have the best base layers that you could get. And I wanted to get to a point where people just preferred it, and so listen, I'm there. Yeah.
It sounds like obviously you got the best. Listen, everybody that's watching, what are you doing? Go to her website. Go ahead, Aliki. What is your website? Tell everybody else so they can get on right now and order. Right now as we speak. You need to. What are you waiting on? Let's do it. Right.
I can type it in for it.
Yeah, if you want to be like a MotoGP guy.
Yeah, right.
You want to be the best. I mean, there's a reason behind it. I mean, they support me because a lot of it has to do with me and our relationship that we have. They're really they are happy with me because I'm constantly coming up to them saying, how can I make this better for you? And there was an interview that we just had with Marcel Schroeder, and he said that, and I was very happy to hear that that they felt that I cared and that I was concerned about their riding and how they were doing on the weekends and stuff like that. So that's really cool. But I mean, a lot of it has to do with the technology. The fabric is Italian, which means that it was built very well. The elastin in the fabric is a certified Lycra compression elastic, and it lasts forever. So the goal is to have something that lasted a long time, that performed extremely well. And I think I've reached that goal. I'm quite happy with it. And we're doing really well. We're expanding. We're expanding into Europe now, and that's going to be a big thing that's happening in terms of having a structure over there that's going to allow for easier purchasing in Europe and in Switzerland. And so that's where we're going. And just world domination is all I want. No big deal.
That's it. World dominant. Pinky in the brain. What are we gonna do today? We're gonna rule the world.
The same thing we're trying to do every night.
Right. The same.
Try to take over the world.
Yeah. Cat, remember we were just talking about, where were you? Magello?
Yes, Magello.
We were just in Magello. This is a good one. I have to, I'm going to start this off, but I'm going to let you finish the story.
No, please.
So,
doing it on the fly.
The whole reason, and I'm really glad that Tasha and Robert are on here as well from Bison, because we do have kind of a theme that goes on with our friendship where we support each other all the time. I got this. Right. You got this. I got your back. Let's get this done. And there's times as an entrepreneur where you got your highs, and then like a second later, it's like crash, and you've got to rebuild everything from scratch. But when you have business partners that have your back in situations where you just can't, that's Cat. That's Robert and Tasha. These are the kinds of people that you want to bring together in order to create something that's even bigger than any one of us, so that we can then help grow the industry as well. And I have a really
story this year?
I like to talk, so shut up. Blah, blah, blah. I'm getting there.
It's my turn. Let me finish.
So I'm
awesome.
partnering with a woman named Anya in Europe, and she does a lot of really cool stuff. She has a marketing company, and she deals with a lot of high-end racers in MotoGP and stuff like that. And she happens to be out at Mugello a couple of weeks ago, and she says, "Oh, Jonas Folger's here." I'm like, "Oh shit!" And I had just given her our new product with a new design. Sorry, not a new product; it's a new design. And we wanted to launch it and get some photographs and stuff like that. And she's like, "It would be cool if we had pictures of him in it, right?" And at the same time, Cat sends me a picture of his van. And he's like, "Oh, Jonas Folger's here." And I'm like, "No shit. You guys are all here at the same time? Like, how crazy is that?" So I messaged Cat and I'm like, "Cat, I need a photographer." I'm talking the night before, right? And, well, my time, the night before. And Cat's like, "Yeah, I got you." Like he always does. He's always got my back. So during the middle of a crazy tour, when they have a photographer and they're doing all their track days and everything, this man and Anya put together this like insane photo shoot with Jonas Folger and everybody for me.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff that just blows your mind. Like I woke up the next morning to the most amazing photographs of like MotoGP people in my stuff, because I have people who support me and that are just as enthusiastic. And, I hope, Cat, that I've been able to do things for you as well.
Well, I mean,
because
your customer base, you tell them, is like, "Yo, where's the best place to wear your VnM sport? You thinking about getting another top? Maybe you can go on a tour and get one, and go to a MotoGP track." I know you send me business. It was really cool that I actually got to talk.
We worked together.
Yeah, I got to talk with Jonas Folger. I got to talk with Anya, your European rep, and Jonas Flares is, "Yeah, she makes this great stuff. I really like it. Yeah, that's why I wear it. Oh, it's cool." And all right. And I had to ask him, like, okay, this is my one chance to ask a MotoGP substitute rider, what's the hardest part about being a MotoGP substitute rider? And, he explained that it's about coming in and adapting to the changes in technology, because the things change so quickly in MotoGP. Is all of a sudden he's got all these different devices he has to control while he's riding, and how the tires have changed and how the bikes have changed, and staying on top of that. But Jonas is great. He's a really cool guy. But this is something I was telling my guide Ricky, who was there that day. This is MotoGP riders, the super fast guys. Most of them, they're just like us. They're just like all your track family in the paddock. The only difference is they're fast as fuck.
Right. They can fucking ride. Yeah.
They're the same people.
Yeah.
Same people who's gonna I got some chicken on the barbecue. You got some extra? Yeah, no problem. Right. Hey, can you help me rebuild this engine? I got a race tomorrow. Yeah, these are the same people who will step up and help you out. And they're part of the community. they're the same people. They grew up in this community, and for the most part, most of them are decent folk who are just like you and me.
Yeah,
I'd say the
awesome.
world level guys are even more modest than
Yeah.
I would have ever expected.
Yeah.
Ever.
I hope you get to
Actually,
work with Brad Bender.
Yeah, Brad Bender, that's my dude right there.
Yeah.
So my host, Cool Jules, he says, "What's up, everybody?" He wasn't able to join us today because he's actually at work. So, Jules, what is up, my buddy? Get back to work, son. No, I'm just playing. Yeah. So I met Jonas at Texas this year. Actually, man, I met a lot of people. Got a lot of photographs. That's where I got a bunch of Ricardo Rossi's. So I met Ricardo. I got a big Marco Simicelli tattoo. Okay. So I met Marco in 2008, first year at Indy. I was at a Brazilian restaurant. I can't think of the name. And I come out of the bathroom and I look over to the right and I said, "Holy shit, that's Marco Simicelli in the same restaurant as me." So I run back to my table. My dad's looking at me because I'm just like this. He's like, why are you in such a hurry? I was like, "Look over there, Dad. You know who that is?" He's like, "I have no idea." I said, "Okay, I will be outside. Here's my money, right? I'm going outside." So I waited outside. Marco come out. I said, "Hey, Marco, I'm a fan. Can I get a picture?" He's like, yeah. So we talked for a minute, and then he throws his arm around my shoulder, and he says, "Walk with me downtown." And I was like, let's go, right? Let's go, right? So every year that I went to Indy up until obviously his last year in 2011, we didn't have each other's phone numbers, but every time I see him, I was like, "What's up, Marco?" He would immediately make a beeline straight to me and give me a big old hug and a high five and turn around and walk away. And everybody be like, "Bro, you know Marco?" I'm like, I do, but I don't have his phone number. But yeah, that's my dude right there. Yes, that is my dude. So anyway, long story short, I meet Ricardo Rossi. I'm like, "Hey, Ricardo, I'm a fan. 658." He sees my tattoo. And he's like, "Oh, you're a big fan of Marco?" I was like, "Yeah, I actually met his dad, Paulo, a couple times. He gave me a big hug, took a picture of my tattoo, spoke no English, talked to me in Italian for like 4 minutes, and I'm looking at him like a deer in headlight, like, okay, that sounds good. Yeah, I appreciate it, right?" And then so, dude, he brings me into his pit garage in the Moto3 team. So I get to go in there and meet everybody, all the crew, the whole behind the scenes, and even more of a fan, right? So I asked him, I was like, "Hey, I got this podcast, can you sign some posters so I can give them away?" And he's like, yeah. So, dude, I got a stack of them, things like this. He's just like, "Here you go, man. Here you go," right? But man, what cool people there are. It's just like what you just said, man. They're all down to earth. It's just like, well, let's take Jake Dixon, right? Last British Silverstone, talked not very kindly, right? Because it wasn't Homeboy's fault. It was Jake's fault for wrecking himself out. But we don't need that in our sport. I think that was a bad move on what he did, right? Everybody goes through their own emotions and they have a hard time. But at the end of the day, they all sacrifice the same thing you do, right? Which is your life on the track, doing what you do, getting paid to do it. But man, I've never had any issue with any rider I ever met. I take it back. One time I met Jorge Lorenzo at Indy. I think it was 2009. I had the Rossi hat and the Rossi shirt on, right? So check it out. So he pulls up in front of the Clinic Mobile, and I'm like, "Oh, Lorenzo, I want a picture." And he's like, "Well, you're a big Rossi fan." And real quick, immediately I said, "Well, I'm actually here with my dad. Dad, he's the Rossi fan. He actually bought me this hat and this shirt. But I don't see nobody selling your stuff out here. But I'd like to have a picture." He says, "Take off your hat and take off your shirt, and I'll give you a picture." So that's what I did to get a picture with Lorenzo, right? But at the end of it, I'm thinking to myself, like, that wasn't really necessary, right? Because we all support everybody, right? Whether you're a diehard fan of one rider or not, you don't want to see anything bad happen or trash talk or whatever, right? So
yeah, that guy's got daddy issues.
Yeah.
Like Colin Edwards said,
we've had some encounters.
Leaky, we'll get to that, but just like Colin Edwards says, he said, I think Lorenzo's gay because I don't ever see him with any women at all, right? His entourage is all just dudes. Even now when you see him on Instagram, you don't see him with no women. You see him with his Lamborghini friends or wherever he's at, right? His thing. But I just thought that was funny. And that's one thing I loved about Colin Edwards is the honesty he always had, right? He would talk shit, tell it how it was, no holds bar. What a fucking guy, man. I miss Colin Edwards.
Colin Edwards does not have internal dialogue. That's the fun about him.
It is. It really is. So, Aliki, Lorenzo, She's like, no, all right, we'll leave that one alone. Sorry, everybody,
So-
we'll skip to that. Yeah.
One of the things I did when I was starting, like a few years back, was my mission was to get a lot of MotoGP riders in my gear. So I would go out to the MotoGPs, and then I would go to the after parties on Sunday night. And that's when, so in the, if people, should I say this? When the international riders come to the US, this is a really good opportunity for them to really party because they don't get harassed as much.
Right.
So they can go out to dinners and they can, walk around and go to the parties and all that sort of thing. And it's great for them, and they enjoy it very much out here because it's just a different world, right? In
They're
Europe,
not as recognizable. Right.
They're
Right.
not. Yeah. I mean, like if and that's cool because then it's the cool guy that and then so they really enjoy that. So I've been to a lot of those industry parties and I see a lot of things. But to your comment about the ladies, I do remember one year we were at Laguna Seca MotoGP. So what was that, 2011 or something?
Yeah.
Anyway, one of the after parties, he had this entourage of ladies, and they had, in this bar in the after party, there was like kind of like a half wall, and it was him in the center, and there was about 5 ladies on each side of him, and he was just like, oh, look at me.
Putting on a
And
show.
every time he walked around, they would follow him, like, it was like the weirdest thing to see. So
I bet.
I tend to be a little bit of a shit disturber and get in there and like.
I would too.
at it.
That's me. That's totally my personality. I'm like, hold up, what you guys got going
Shut
on in
over,
here?
I'm coming.
Yeah,
to sit
I'm
down,
coming in. What's up,
Yeah.
Lorenzo? Let me sit
Yeah.
there. What you drinking on? Let me try that. Yeah,
I did that.
This is the
But it was
nature.
like they were almost as bodyguards. That was the vibe that I was getting off it. Don't know him personally, so can't say too much about, I can't speak to him as a human when you get to know him. But that vibe that he had put out at the time was just like, come on, dude.
Fanboy.
Like everyone else is out here having a great time and, high-fiving everybody else and stuff like that. And you're over here in your corner with your entourage of ladies. And,
all by yourself.
yeah. I had some fun with that.
It's an aspect of all three of us, really, because we're all sort of entrepreneurial folks. I try to explain to my tour guides, I said, I'm good as a tour operator, but I'm never going to be a great tour guide because it's a different personality makes a good tour guide. Pleasing people and not rocking the boat. Whereas Aliki and I, this is what we do. We put out products that nobody's ever done before. It takes a type of personality to do that. And that personality doesn't always make for great personal politics.
Fact. That's a fact.
I call the show As the Checkered Flag Waves is the politics
It's a good name.
of the track day community. Because politics in small organizations, particularly volunteer organizations, are so petty because the stakes are so small.
Yeah.
It can get kind of screwy. So it's always kind of a challenge for people like us to maintain this sort of civil relationship when we, as entrepreneurs, are people who bust through walls and say, no, I'm going to fucking do it my way. And, it's like, hey, there's a reason I sent you that picture with a big banana sticking out of my leathers, at Mugello, because the joke was ages ago. Aliki has her mannequin in her display area, and years ago at Sonoma Raceway, she put a big old banana basically underneath the bottoms, and it was just kind of a joke. And somebody complained about it, like, this is a family atmosphere, and we're trying to, it was. And Aliki got really worried about it. She's like, oh no, this was one of my sponsored people, and I should really worry about it. And then about 3 or 4 days later, we tried to convince her. She's like, will you just laugh about it? This is a joke. This is funny. And so after that, it became a gag, and we made all those little banana stickers with the little crazy eyeballs on it and whatnot.
I just made some more.
I need one of those, Aliki. You gotta send me one.
What do they say? Bad publicity is always good publicity.
Absolutely.
And this was like the perfect example of that because somebody on Facebook was like, "This is inappropriate," and but then everybody kind of rallied behind the "Why is it inappropriate?" and who is now on my French, there's a guy named Frenchie who's now on my race team. But how I met him was he saw this and he thought it was really funny. And he goes, Aliki, I want bananas. Make me bananas. Lots of bananas everywhere.
So that's like the gag for everybody who's part of the VnM community is a little stickers. Cartoon banana.
Yeah, and placing them everywhere. And so he's actually now back on my race team, which is awesome. So we have this whole new wrap on our bike, and on the front, there's a monkey that's holding a banana like this, like that's like kind of hanging out. I'll have to send a picture. It's awesome. So that has never failed. But what happened was, at the time, he kind of started like hyping up this whole banana deal. And then everybody in the paddock at AFM wanted banana stickers. And I'm like, well, I'll make banana stickers and then I will take the money and give it over to the benevolent fund. Nice. So I don't remember how much money we made, but everybody wanted to start like buying these banana stickers up so that we could raise money for the benevolent booth, which is a part, like a charity that's attached to the AFM. And so it totally worked out. So that's why it kind of stuck.
That's
because
awesome.
There was the support that was behind it. That was like, no, we're all like lighthearted and this is a joke and don't take it too seriously and let's have some fun with it. And it made better for the community too, which was awesome.
Well, I saw a big plate of bananas right there at Magello on the plate. I'm like, I need to grab Jason. So I grabbed Jason. I went over to the spot in Magello. I had the track picture. I sent her a picture of this big old banana sticking out of my leather. That's like the inside joke with all the VnM community is like banana.
A banana.
I love it. I'm gonna go to work after this when we get done. I'm gonna say a banana. I'm like, what are you talking about? You wouldn't understand. Yeah, you just wouldn't understand. That's awesome, man. Awesome, man. Listen, what an honor it is to sit here privileged and talk to you two. I mean,
oh geez, we're the slow pokes, but we've managed to make a go of it, making money. Yeah. Well, okay, yeah, you're doing good. You're getting fast. I want you to come out to Magello next year. You can beat my lap time at 2:13, which is not particularly fast, but you know, I'm getting better.
I can now. Can I do this? Can I do this on a podcast? I don't
Absolutely.
know. But like, I have to take my moment. I have to own my moment.
Do it. It's all on you. Aliki, it's your moment.
I had literally the best race weekend of my freaking life last weekend with CRA, California Road Racing Association at Buttonwillow, round 3. And yeah, I was always kind of like the, mid to back marker racer, whatever, all those kids are super fast up front. Well, in the defense of everybody else, we didn't have Brendan Kettleson and a few other of the Moto America fast kids out this past weekend, but I was up there battling for third in every race that I was in. And I had I was just like, like you start off and then you go, and I'm like, well, I always have good starts, so I was in third place. That's cool. Someone's gonna pass me. And we had this. So I'm on a Ninja 400, and it was the GT, the Feel Like a Pro GT, which is 14 laps. It's a long time. So I'm out there in third place, like this can't last. Like this just can't last. This isn't happening right now. And then, someone comes in front of me, and it became this insane battle. And I guess I got the red mist like I've never had before, because all of a sudden it was like, we're going. And from the first race, I did 4 races that weekend. I was battling for third each time. I never got third. But I was battling expert third each time. How cool. And within the 14 lap GT race, I looked down at my my lap timer, and I was pulling 203s. And to me personally, that's fucking legit. I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, my best lap time before that was like a 207 at Buttonwillow. Wow, and my expectation at the time was like, if I can do a 206. And then my expectation past that is, if I could do a 205, I can just put the shit away and be done. I don't want to go any faster than that. Like, this is good. We're good. I'm happy. And to pull consistent 203s in a race blew my mind.
Congratulations.
So the question, so I'm owning that moment, and then I was faster than Frenchie for a little bit of that, by the way.
Frenchie, you hear that?
Yeah, I know.
Frenchie, are you listening?
That shit all up on Facebook. I'm like, Frenchie's
I seen that on your post on Facebook too. I laughed when you said that.
Yeah, I saw that. I knew what that meant, because Frenchie's
I didn't, but now I
quick.
do. Frenchie, now I know the story. Yeah.
He's a
So
coach
listen,
with Carter's at the track, and he used to be the kind of guy that would just like drink a bunch of beers at night and then go out there and win trophies all the time. So in my mind, to ever be any kind of close to the speeds that Frenchie could go would be like impossible.
Ridiculously, lots of natural.
You know, so. But he's
Dude.
faster than me by 0.5 seconds now. But we're gonna see what happens next race round.
Frenchie, she's coming for you. You hear this,
I'm coming
Frenchie?
for
She
you.
is coming for you. But on that note, dude, big shout out to Brennan Kellestein. Happy birthday, my man. Dude, bravo.
Really?
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
he's
Yes.
racing Moto America
Yes, and
this
he's racing
weekend,
Moto
too.
America, man. This weekend, I got a lot of friends that are racing at Moto America. You know, Levi Batty, Rossi Moore, dude, Avery Dreher. I mean, it goes on and on. I wish all of them a successful weekend, right?
Yeah.
It's I don't have a favorite, right? They're all my favorites.
Yeah, I'm kind of stuck on Kayla because she's
Kayla's awesome.
I have a picture that I'm gonna dine off for hopefully the rest of my life of Kayla Yakoff braiding my hair in the paddock.
She's so rad.
You should have sent me that picture for the podcast. I'd have posted
She's
it
a
up.
total package. She's not only really talented, but man, she always promotes her sponsors. She's always well spoken. I mean, hello. I keep trying to tell you, big companies, get a load of this girl. Cover girl, hello. Here's Pantene. You know,
Pantene Pro V.
Yeah, right.
Here's your next spokesperson.
I like that.
All the hair.
Yeah,
oh my God.
I like that.
She's awesome, and she's now over. She makes trips over to Europe, and she kicks ass while she's over there.
Kick ass,
she's really getting good. So I'm hoping she's the future for us.
She is.
She's hoping.
Absolutely.
There's no question that woman is going
so
places.
I met her, me and my son, last year at VIR, which was last year for Moto America. We become really good friends with Yandel Mendia and his dad Carlos. We actually hung out with him in the pits the whole weekend, and of course, Rossi and Yandel go out, and next thing I know, they're at the swimming pool at the hotel getting kicked out because they're not supposed to be there swimming in the swimming pool together, right? And then, of course, that's the weekend Kayla had that wreck and she hurt her knee. Man, they all went out home to try. I'm looking for my boy. I'm like, Carlos, where's Rossi and Yandel out there? Oh, right over there in Kayla's trailer over there, right? And they all come out laughing and giggling, and I'm just like, where you been? Rossi's like, I'm hanging out with Caleb and all these people, and I'm like, I'm so jealous right now. Like, I'm just so jealous right now, right? Here's my 10-year-old son. Quick story about that trip. So we go down there, and Rossi is such a character, my boy, right? He's got long hair. It's blonde. It's not as long as Aliki's, but it's pretty long. So he was like, Daddy, follow me. I'm going to go around, and I'm just going to run around. I was like, okay, I'll follow you. So Rossi ends up taking off to everybody in the pits. He would just like run up right under Kyle Wyman's the little, the little stripe they keep there to keep people out. He'd run right up underneath there, tap a mechanic on his shoulder and say, hey, buddy, you just dropped your pencil. And they would look down and look at him and laugh. And Rossi would laugh and take off. And he did that to everybody in the paddock, right? So we get to Jake Gagne. Dude, it was hilarious. Everybody's laughing at him, right? They're having a good time. He gets up to Jake Gagne. He taps Jake on the shoulder. I mean, just rolls up in there. I'm like, Rossi, you can't do that. He's like, I got this. I'm like, okay. Waiting on security to come out, right? Anyway, he runs up in there, taps it, and mind you, Rossi don't know who any of these people are, right? He goes up in there, he taps him on the shoulder. He's like, hey, you just dropped your pen. And Jake looks down. He says, oh, what you mean, this pen? And he pulls out a pen. He says, you hang on right there. He goes back there, grabs his knee puck, signs it, takes a big old picture with Rossi. And I'm like, dude, this is what our sport's about, right? That love. I can't wait to take Rossi to Jersey at the end of the year. And he already told me he's going to do the same thing. He's like, Dad, this time I'm bringing 3 pens. And because what he'd do is he had a pen, and when he tapped you on the shoulder, he would drop his pen and say, hey, man, you just dropped your pen, and pick it up and take off running again. And I was like, what a brilliant idea, right?
In the gas pens.
I do. You're right.
Oh, that is a great idea.
That'd be the gag. You're like, oh, yeah, here you go. You dropped your pen.
And then they get to keep the pen. Good. Yeah. Great idea. I'm duly noted for sure. Yes, absolutely.
Are you left-handed, Kat? Are you left-handed? Always so creative.
Well, I'm both-handed. I use my left hand for my mouth for my mouse, but I can always use the right hand.
I wipe my butt with my left.
I've got 2 mice, and so I control.
I shake people's hand with my left. Dustin Coiner says, ask Kat what's the deal with the kilt.
What's the deal with the kilt? Well, okay. Here's the rules for wearing a kilt. Okay. First off, a true proper kilt. When they say the whole 9 yards, the whole 9 yards is actually 9 yards of fabric. It's just fabric, and you have to know how to fold it. You literally have to fold it. It takes about 20 minutes to fold it properly. Then you put it on it, throw it over your shoulder. Wearing also a regular, quote, modern kilt, that means you don't have to wear a tuxedo or a suit to any formal occasion. You can actually look like properly formal and cool wearing a kilt. Now, everyone always asks, is there anything worn underneath of the kilt? Of course, no, everything's in perfect working order. Everything's fine. When you don't wear underwear underneath your kilt is when you're going drinking. Because, gentlemen, you know that if you're going to be wearing pretty hefty wool, hard-grade wool against your nether regions, you might want to be wearing some protection. But if you're drinking, it doesn't matter. So that's the only time you don't wear anything underneath your kilt. And yes, I do know how to fold a kilt properly for the whole 9 yards, an ancient style kilt, and I have a modern formal kilt. So yes, I do wear my kilt.
So is it because like when you break the seal, then you don't have to worry about the whole underwear part?
No, you just let it rip.
Yeah, it's
Just go, man.
Just go.
Pull a Steve Crevier.
Fact, right? Just pull a Steve. Hey, by the way, I just pissed in those leathers.
Once you have a few nippy sweeties, it doesn't matter what you're wearing underneath that kilt. But yeah, things can be a little bit scratchy, so you just drink some more scotch and it doesn't matter anymore.
That's so awesome.
That's an interesting guy. I tell everybody, man, the guy is fucking crazy. That's why I love him.
Yeah,
you are absolutely insane. Oh my God, are you serious? And this is coming from me, so that's.
The one thing I'm proud of.
We love about you, man.
A lot of times, really, what I love about Aliki is I go, where Aliki goes, I follow, because she's about 2 or 3 years ahead of me in business development. She always has been. So she tells me, like the classic example of why I'm running with Bison Leathers right now is because I asked Aliki, I said, I'm looking for a new gear partnership relationship. A lot of the guys with Yamaha Champions Riding School really tried to push hard for Denise to get me sponsored, and there just wasn't in the budget for Denise. And I'm like, okay, I need some new gear. Aliki, who's on target? Who's out there? And we named off a number of brands, but you said there's one brand that's really in the paddock and that kind of matches what Layout Escapes is about. It's authenticity, it's quality, it's good people supporting the track families, and that's Bison.
Facts.
So that's why I've got to put out a press release about it and get some photos and everything about why, and explain about why I'm going with Bison now. It's because Bison supports our track community, and they're authentic people, and it's a good product. This is the best fitting suit I've ever had in my life, and of course, in order to make sure it fit properly, I put on my VnM gear underneath it. I'm like, okay, this is really good stuff. Mm-hmm. And now already my clients I'm talking to about it, they're like, yeah, I'm in the market for a suit. So I'm like, already I've got people on me.
I know a guy. Yeah, I know a guy.
It's time for a new suit. I'm like, Cat, what are you wearing? I'm like, well, funny you should ask. So the next thing, I'm actually really eager. Next season, I'm going to try out the custom fit gloves. And boy, that's custom fit gloves. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna when I go to Jersey, I already talked to Rob, because me and Robert are really good friends. We talk all the time. Well, not every day, but yeah, we conversate. And I told him, I said, man, when I come out to Jersey, I want you to make me a pair of those custom Bison gloves you have, right? So I'm gonna get all done up and the whole nine. Next will be the leather suit. But
here's my current problem. I've got a new Tech Air 10 suit that I got from Kevin Kahn, who's a wearer racer. This was his spare suit, and he sold it to me. Problem is, it won't charge. Like, there's the battery, so I'm on supposedly in line with the Alpine Star World trying to get this suit either replaced or batteries replaced or whatnot. But apparently this is a common problem, so I'm testing out Alpine Star's customer service right now.
It's not going very good, is it? They got their own, Helite. That's what I was going to say, Aliki.
I have been waiting for years and years and years for the Helite inner suit, but because COVID and a whole bunch of other stuff, they weren't able to come out with it in time for me to get my custom suit. But try that. I mean, so Cat and I wear the outer Helite vest too.
Yeah, so I was looking
Yeah,
forward to
but
wearing something internal, and I paid
yeah,
big money for this Tech Air 10 suit
I
because it would
guarantee
protect
it.
my hips. But it won't charge. It's all right. I got GPS
sucks.
problems right now
Yeah.
too. I got a GPS that won't charge. This seems to be a common problem right now.
Send it in, Cat.
Hey, Dustin. Hey,
Yeah.
boy.
Mm.
Hey, talk about a great member of the community. Dustin's his action with CRA right there made it a great.
Also crazy.
Yeah.
Dustin's my buddy, man. Yeah, absolutely. Big shout out to Dustin and
You
his
gotta be
podcast.
crazy. I
Oh
mean,
my
you have to
gosh.
be nuts to
Got to.
start an entrepreneurial
Yeah.
business. We're
Yeah.
we're nuts. Yeah,
He's
you
good,
got to be
peeps.
crazy to do this. I mean,
Yeah.
creating a business out of nothing that
Yeah.
that puts out a product that's never been done before.
Yeah.
We're not creating a competing product. We're literally creating a product that doesn't compete with anything.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I do tours with track time. Nobody does that. And after 10 years, still nobody does it. You can rent a track bike here or there, but nobody
There's
else.
a reason. That shit
Facts.
ain't easy.
So,
Yeah.
Kat, along with that, real quick, man, your
Mhm.
tours, right? Let's just touch base on that for a second. Everything's included in that, right? Your bike rentals, your leathers, your boots, or do you have to bring your own
Well,
riding
there's certain
gear?
things. There's things I include, and there's things I don't include for a reason.
Okay.
Like in Spain, the dinners are included. It's part of the tour, and the dinners are included because in Spain we're going out for these far-reaching hotels, staying at these big, these in some cases they're castles. I mean, true, authentic, legit, ancient castle. We're staying there, but there's nothing else around, and so you got to have something to eat, and so you might as well buy the hotel package and get the food. So dinners are included on the Spain tour, but in Italy, we're going to go out to a restaurant here, a restaurant there, a different place. I want you to order what you want to order because you're in Italy. Maybe you want to have the Florentine steak that's 2-inch thick T-bone steak, or you're in Rome. If you're in Rome, you have to order the carbonara. But maybe you don't like carbonara. Maybe you're insane. But so it varies from tour. You want your gear to fit properly on the day of your track day. At Aragon or Catalunya, you're going to ride this amazing track. You don't want to be like, my gear doesn't fit.
Yeah.
So I tell people to bring their own gear, but you can, if you have a standard Denise size, you can rent gear. You can also try out a pretty cool AGV helmet while you're there because they have the AGV rep and the Denise rep are there to let you try stuff out. But I sort of encourage people, you can rent gear if you want, but if you're an unusual size, bring stuff. Tour bike is included in the price, but there's lots of upgrades available, and some people want to pay for an upgrade, and for some people, they're lucky, they're short, they're small. They don't have to pay a lot of money for a bike. Airfare is not included because there is no such thing as the cheapest fare. There's there's the cheapest flight, but you have to connect through you have to connect through Istanbul. No. So I don't include airfare. I used to sell airfare all over the world, but there's no such thing. So airfare is not included because people have different choices. They want different things. Luggage van for the track and tour is always included because we got to haul our track gear around. It's not going to strap to the back of your street bike very easily.
Right.
And local guides, that's included because you want to sort of get in touch with the country you've come to visit. So there's different things that are included, but it varies from tour to tour. Most of the time, it's dinners are not included because I want you to order stuff. Breakfast is always included, because Europeans do a good breakfast. It is not like an American hotel at all.
I bet.
Different stuff.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, that's why I'm excited to go to Europe. It's been my first trip, so I'm excited. I'm gonna take it all in.
You're not going to Europe. You're going.
Well, you know what I mean. I'm going. Yes. I'm going to England, but to me, yeah, it's yes.
Well, don't say in Europe because you.
Okay. I'm in England. I'll be in
You might
London,
get your
near
ass
London,
kicked.
in Louth. Right. Get my facts right. Show up on my next podcast with a black eye. Hey, everybody. I fucked around and found out. That's what happened.
No, the tours include always 2 or 3 days on a MotoGP circuit. And usually we do a lot of stuff with Racing School Europe. Other times it's just a straight up track day. But that's your track fees, your track bike, upgrades to slicks and warmers are possible. You want to do that. Other people don't. Other people don't have the skill level where it's really worth the money.
Right.
So,
I'm planning one next year in Spain.
Yeah, we got to
You're
get
going
you
to
out.
have to go. Yeah.
You want to do Catalonia or Aragon?
However
Aragon.
we can time it with our photo
Aragon for
shoots
sure.
and our business.
Yeah.
We have a lot of riders in
I don't
Spain.
know.
So
Cataluna
yeah.
is awesome too because that's the famous
Yeah.
09 Jorge
It's my
Lorenzo Rossi
favorite track in
last pack.
Spain.
Yeah, I bet it is. It flows really good. At least my experience on the PlayStation, right? It's an awesome track. Yeah.
Yeah, try doing that last pass just before the straightaway, where Rossi passed Lorenzo, and you will have new respect for Rossi because the pass is impossible. I don't know how he did it. You can't do that. You can't go there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's nuts, but it's a great circuit. I love Catalunya. It's a lot of fun, and the whole community around it too kind of supports the track.
Yeah, I bet they do. Well, listen, what an honor it is, man. We've been going at this over an hour and a half now. Yeah, it's awesome, right? The time flies by. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to go back to work here soon.
All right.
Yeah. So listen, before we get off here, Aliki, yes, one day it will be my full-time job. You are absolutely correct on that. But listen, what I need you two to do is plug yourselves in, let everybody know where they can find you, how they can get in touch with you, and when we end this, y'all two stay on for a minute because we'll chat. So
you want me to put in the chat what the my website is?
Yeah, you can. You shout out, put it in the chat, however you want to do it. Yeah.
Okay, putting it in. I already put yours in, Aliki.
Yep, I see it.
Thank you. I'm technically.
It's okay.
Technologically illiterate.
Well, listen, I was too until I started doing this podcast with Jules and figuring all this nuances out that goes along with it, right? So yeah, it is. But listen, you two, what an honor it is. I have a giveaway to give away. Somebody's going to win 2 free stickers. Let me see. Hang on, I'm going to do it real quick. Hang on 1 second.
Cat, can we do a virtual high five if I do this? Wait, if I do this, can you high five me? Will that work? Wait, this way.
Congratulations, Jason Wingler. Reach out to me and I'll get your poster and your stickers in the mail. And thank you again. What an honor it is to sit down with you two. I would love to do this again, get you both back on when you guys ain't as busy, maybe at the end of the year, the beginning of next year.
Well, yeah, the best bet is let's do this probably in November because I'll have a new calendar coming out for what we're going to run in 2024, and that's also just about the time when it's gift giving season for all of your track friends. And what would be better than a custom base layer or you know what? Get some bottoms. Everyone gets the top, and people forget to get the bottoms.
Bottoms, right? Yeah. So, Aliki, would that work for you in November?
Yeah, I might be in Europe, but that's okay.
I'm gonna be doing podcasts from London. I mean, so yeah, we can make it happen. Yeah, for sure. Right, we'll do it. So,
it was an honor. Thank you so much for having us.
Listen, the honor is all ours. Believe me, it really is. But again, thank you everybody for tuning in, watching, joining, all the love and support. Man,
love you, track family. You're my people.
Yeah. Absolutely. I appreciate it, man. All you guys are wonderful. Again, what an honor it is. Until next time, everybody, I am Christian Show Simcoe. We are Pin the Gas, and these are my people. Until next time, we will see you later.